who is in charge of saying who he thinks is the best quarterback that you should get taken is no longer in the building. So all those people who value supercomputer-like data and quick processing, and my goodness, he's so accurate, processing, getting in out of the huddle. Those people that said that nonsensical crap about getting in and out of the huddle, what good does getting in and out of the huddle do if you can't find nobody on the football field or you can't see past the huddle? It ain't the huddle he got to worry about. It's the line of scrimmage. I need you to get in and over the line of scrimmage. Maybe I'm just an old football guy. So he's gone. All that analytic, that's gone. And the thing that happens when the hand of the king is gone is that the king starts making decisions for himself. He starts going to the games and he starts seeing all those empty seats. He has to watch on national TV as you struggle against teams like the Jets, who just basically said they want to tank. We'll tell you why when we get back a little later in the show. We tell you why this could be the beginning and the end. We can get to that. You see what I'm saying? But when you the hand of the king and you're gone now, it's every man for himself. And now the king is looking around. He's looking around, hearing people say, "We need Shedeur." And behind the scenes, the propaganda starts to wear off a little bit. He starts to think to himself, why am I listening to these people anyway? Why am I listening to these advisors?
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. You could feel it the moment it happened, like a thunderclap rolling through Cleveland, shaking the walls of Berea. Paul DePodesta, the so-called brains behind the Browns' grand analytics experiment, gone, fired, just like that. And for the first time in years, it finally felt like the grip of that spreadsheet empire was broken. This wasn't just a firing, this was a mutiny. Jimmy Haslam didn't just pull the plug on an executive. He ended an era. The man who built his reputation on being the smartest guy in every room suddenly realized the room was empty, the fans were gone, the seats were empty, and the smartest guy still hadn't built a winning football team. For too long, the Browns have been run like a math problem. Every throw, every pick, every player, reduced to data points and probabilities. And while those numbers might impress a Wall Street intern, they never scared a defensive end coming off the edge. Football ain't an algorithm. It's heart, it's instinct, it's blood in the mud and sweat in your eyes. And DePodesta forgot that. He turned football into code, and somewhere along the way, the soul of the team died. But now it's different. The hand of the king is gone, and the king, Jimmy Haslam, finally looked up from the reports, looked out at those empty stands, and saw what we've all seen for years, a team with no fire, no identity, no direction. He saw an organization more obsessed with proving its model worked than actually winning games. And that's when something inside him snapped, because you can only get embarrassed for so long before you start fighting back. Week after week, the Browns have been the punchline, the team that always finds a way to trip over its own analytics. And when you combine that with a fan base starving for something real, something emotional, you've got a recipe for rebellion. This was the moment the football men took back the building. The scouts, the players, the old school coaches who live and breathe tape instead of charts, they finally got their vindication. You could almost hear them exhale. Because the DePodesta system wasn't just about efficiency, it was about control. It silenced instinct. It silenced belief. It silenced the kind of players who play with heart, guys like Shedeur Sanders. That's why this firing hit different. It wasn't about stats or even results. It was about reclaiming something deeper, the gut feeling that makes football what it is. Jimmy Haslam finally said what the city's been yelling for years. Enough. Enough of the overthinking, the he's not ready, the endless analytics excuses. For the first time in a long time, Cleveland isn't just reacting, it's rebelling. And whether you love or hate it, this is the kind of chaos that changes everything. Because when the man behind the curtain gets pulled out, the truth steps into the light. And that truth is simple. This isn't just front office drama. This is the spark that could finally free Shedeur Sanders. You ever notice how every time a quarterback actually threatens the system, suddenly he's the problem? That's what happened to Shedeur Sanders. The moment this kid walked into the Browns building with swagger, confidence, and that edge, The whispers started. He's not ready. He's too flashy. He needs to learn how to be a pro. But let's be real. That was never about readiness. That was politics. That was protection. Because they already had their safe pick, their golden boy. Dillon Gabriel, the quarterback handpicked by the analytics machine. From day one, the playbook was written against Shedeur. The system was built for Gabriel to succeed and for Shedeur to sit. He was running scout team reps with practice squad linemen, while the so-called starter was throwing hospital balls every Sunday. And what did the media say? Nothing. Not a word. The same people who love to tear down young black quarterbacks for every little mistake, suddenly silent when the safe pick can't hit a 10-yard out. They said Shedeur wasn't ready for the NFL. But ready for what? For checkdowns? For screen passes? For a system where everything is measured by completion percentage instead of guts? Because I've seen the same guys calling Shedeur immature watch Dillon Gabriel crumble the moment the lights come on. I've seen them talk about leadership and processing speed while ignoring the one stat that actually matters: wins. This whole thing was a setup, a cover-your-back decision from a front office terrified of being wrong. They couldn't afford for the analytics project to fail, so they buried the kid who could expose it. They wrapped it in fancy football talk, progressions, timing, command of the huddle, but what they really meant was, he's not one of ours. They didn't draft him. They didn't choose him. So they made sure he'd never see the field. And here's the part that really burns. The fans saw it. You could feel it in the crowd. Every time Gabriel missed another open read, every time the offense went 3 and out, the camera would pan to Shedeur standing on the sideline. Helmet in hand, calm, focused, patient. You can't fake that kind of poise. The city saw it, the locker room saw it, but upstairs, they were too busy defending their spreadsheets to admit they'd picked the wrong guy. It's the oldest story in football. The safe pick gets protected, and the talented one gets punished. They said Shedeur ran backwards. Yeah? Maybe because every time he dropped back, the pocket collapsed in 2 seconds. They said he held the ball too long. Maybe because nobody was open. They said he wasn't ready. But somehow, the guy who's been ready all season can't move the chains. We saw it. The fans knew it. And now the truth's spilling out. The analytics empire that tried to bury Shedeur just fell apart. And the funny thing about dirt, when you pile too much of it on someone who's built different, he doesn't suffocate. He grows through it. You ever have one of those moments where everything starts clicking? Where all the weird coincidences you've been watching suddenly line up like dominoes? Yeah, that's what's happening in Cleveland right now. Because this isn't random. It's the walls closing in, the lies are collapsing, and when that happens, the truth always finds its way onto the field. Think about it. First, Paul DePodesta, the architect of this entire analytics kingdom, gone overnight. No warning, no farewell statement, just gone. Then Kevin Stefanski, the head coach who's been glued to that play sheet for 4 straight years, suddenly steps back from play calling. They call it strategic. I call it survival. You don't give up the one thing that defines your entire career unless you feel the ground shaking under you. And then, just when it starts to get weird enough, Joe Flacco gets traded out of nowhere. The veteran voice, the steadying presence in the locker room, the guy who could have kept the pressure off Gabriel a little longer, gone, vanished, and the media barely blinks. You still think that's all coincidence? You still think that's normal roster management? Nah, that's cleanup. That's a front office trying to erase fingerprints before the story breaks wide open. They said it was about injuries. They said it was about depth. They said it was about trusting the process. But if you look close enough, you can see it. The panic behind the PR smiles. Every move they make now feels desperate. Every press conference feels defensive. And the silence from the top? That's the loudest part. When an owner like Jimmy Haslam stops talking, you know he's not confused, he's calculating. Here's what's really happening. The old narrative is falling apart. The one where Shedeur Sanders wasn't ready. The one where Dillon Gabriel was the safe bet. The one where analytics could outthink football. That story doesn't sell anymore because the results are right there on the field. Missed reads, stalled drives, fans booing before halftime. You can't spin that with data. And now the people who built that narrative are running for cover. DePodesta's out. Stefanski's ducking heat. The quarterback of the future can't move the ball. You tell me who's next. First, DePodesta's gone. Then Stefanski steps down. Then Gabriel starts slipping. You still think this is random? You still think this isn't connected? Everything that was built to protect the narrative is cracking. Every excuse, every media defense, every not ready yet take, it's crumbling right in front of us. The team that prided itself on control just lost it. The franchise that tried to play chess just got checkmated by the same fans they ignored. And once the dust settles, one truth's going to be impossible to ignore. The one guy they tried to bury might just be the only one who can save them. Because when the lies collapse, the truth starts to walk onto the field. And his name is Shedeur Sanders. You can feel it. The energy's shifting. The air in Cleveland isn't heavy anymore. It's charged. Like that moment before a storm when everything goes quiet. When you can practically feel the lightning building in the clouds. Something's coming. And every fan in this city knows what it is. Because after all the drama, all the excuses, all the chaos, the trade deadline came and went. No quarterback move. No Shedeur trade. No new direction. Just silence. And that silence, it speaks volumes. It means Jimmy Haslam's not selling the future anymore. He's about to play it. Inside that locker room, the shift is real. Myles Garrett knows it. Denzel Ward knows it. You can see it in their interviews, their sideline reactions, the frustration, the smirks when someone mentions quarterback play. These guys have been in the league long enough to recognize when a team's heartbeat is out of rhythm. They can feel it. The leadership, the juice, the presence. It's missing under center. And deep down, they know the kid on the sideline is the one who can bring it back. You can't fool players. You can't fake energy. They see Shedeur putting in work every day. First in the building, last to leave, headphones in, laser focused while the starter's cracking jokes. They see the film sessions, the quiet confidence, the way the young guys gravitate toward him. The locker room knows who the real QB is, even if the stat sheet doesn't show it yet. And let's talk about Tommy Rees, the new play caller. This dude's hungry. He's not just trying to call plays, he's trying to audition for his next job. You think he's going to waste his shot running the same vanilla script that's been embarrassing this team all season? Nah, he's got a bag full of plays ready to explode the second he gets a real quarterback to run them. Florida's calling. Penn State's calling. LSU's calling. You don't think Rees wants to cook with Shedeur Sanders under center? Please, that's his moment too. Everything is aligning. The fans are starving for a spark. The players are restless. The media can't ignore the noise anymore. And the owner, he's finally watching the game with his own eyes instead of through somebody else's data sheet. Every misfire from Gabriel, every 3 and out, every boo raining down from the stands. It's all pressure, and that pressure's building. This is how takeovers start, not with a press release, but with tension, with an entire city waiting for one decision that could flip everything. The pieces are moving, the excuses are running out. The prophecy's already been written. 8 quarters. That's what Dylan Gabriel's got. 8 quarters before the city explodes, before the chants start echoing through the stadium, before the fan base forces Jimmy's hand. Because you can't hold back destiny forever. The clouds are forming, the lightning's ready to strike, and when it does, Cleveland's going to feel it from the 50-yard line to the factory roof. Cleveland's been the punchline long enough. We've been laughed at, dismissed, ignored. Every year it's the same story. New excuses, same heartbreak. We've watched the league move on while we stayed stuck in neutral. But this time, it feels different. This time the chaos isn't killing us, it's cleansing us. Everything that's been holding this franchise back, the analytics obsession, the power games, the fake optimism, it's getting burned to the ground. And out of that fire, one name keeps rising, Shedeur Sanders. You can feel it building. The energy, the anticipation, the desperation. The city's awake. The fans are restless. The players, they've stopped pretending. This locker room has been waiting for someone to believe in again. And once Shedeur steps on that field, once he takes that first snap in front of 70,000 screaming fans, it's over. The entire narrative flips. Because here's the truth. Cleveland doesn't need perfect. We never have. We need real. We need a quarterback who reflects the city's DNA. Grit, toughness, faith through the fire. And that's Shedeur. He's been counted out, doubted, sabotaged, but he never blinked. He never complained. He just worked. Every rep, every film session, every moment he sat on that sideline watching Gabriel throw another check down. He was preparing for this. And that's what the critics never understood. They think Shedeur's story is about hype. It's not. It's about hunger. It's about the kid who grew up in the spotlight, but still grinds like he's got everything to prove. The kid who took all the noise, the doubters, the headlines, the politics, and turned it into fuel. When he finally gets his shot, this city's going to erupt. The fans who've been begging for something real will finally have their guy. The media will scramble to rewrite every headline they ever wrote about him. And the locker room? They'll rally around him like a heartbeat. Because football teams don't follow hype. They follow heart. We've seen it before. Jalen Hurts in Philly, Lamar in Baltimore, even Baker for a flash in Cleveland. Every city has that moment when the player and the people finally align. When the fans stop hoping and start believing. That's what's coming. And to the doubters? To the ones still clinging to the same tired excuses. The analytics are gone. The politics are gone. The safe pick era is over. You can't hide behind not ready anymore. Not after everything that's fallen apart. Not after everything we've seen. Because this isn't a maybe. This isn't a what if. This is destiny knocking on the door. And when Shedeur walks through it, there's no going back. You can't stop what's already in motion. The analytics are gone. The excuses are gone. The city's awake. Ready or not, here he comes.